Hi there, my name is Rachel, and today's yoga practice is called Yoga for Finding Your Why. Some of the most useful advice I was ever given when it comes to meditation is meditation isn't always about getting all of the different thoughts in our head to stop talking and to be silent. Sometimes it's about understanding these thoughts and giving them some space, even observing these thoughts from a third person perspective. And when we follow the trails that our thoughts go down, sometimes we can find the source as to why we have had these thoughts running through our minds. When we follow the right trails, we can often find that the things we've been daydreaming about are rooted in some of our heart's deepest passions. And it's there sometimes that we discover our why, for why we do what we do and what drives our life, what makes us feel alive. We'll spend some time discovering this together and looking at our thoughts from a different perspective for today's practice. And it would be nice to open in some meditation. I think child's pose would be a great pose for us to all look inward and ground down together to start, but any supportive pose for meditation is good. For child's pose, feel free to spread the knees, bring the big toes to touch, and rest the forehead down onto the ground with the arms outstretched. Of course, you can also keep the legs together and run the arms by the side as well if you prefer. And it would be really nice, I think, for today's meditation to rest the forehead down onto the earth. So feel free to bring a block along and place the block on the floor underneath your forehead if you'd like to raise the earth up to meet you a little bit. But once you've found your place, go ahead and sink into this present moment. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Feel the ground beneath you, effortlessly supporting you. Perhaps you even would like to roll your head from side to side, massaging this area of the forehead down into the earth. This space between the eyebrows is where the yogis believe our third eye chakra is located. The piece of our subtle anatomy responsible for higher thought. Today, as we began talking about the different thoughts that buzz around in our head and following them to where they might lead, I invite you to take a look at your thoughts now. Maybe there are a few things that have been bubbling up to the surface already. Encourage you to follow them and see where they lead. And perhaps if there is a place that you find a passion rooted at the base of these thoughts and you'd like to dedicate today's practice to that passion, I invite you to do so. Or perhaps if you know what your why is for your life, your motivation, your inspiration, I invite you to set that as your intention for practice as well. Or for you, if nothing comes to mind, if perhaps finding your why is difficult for you, I offer this simple intention. I understand myself. I understand myself. Hold whatever intention you'd like there before your mind's eye. Take an inhale, breathe some life, breathe some energy into it. And then exhale, allow it to dissolve. You can call it back to you as we move through today's practice. Gently walk your hands in, maybe about halfway as you begin to sit up. We'll open up our shoulders a little bit here before we get started. On an inhale, pressing the left hand into the floor, sweep the right arm to the sky. And then on your exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left. Just thread the needle pose. And you can leave the left hand planted into the floor where it started, or you can walk it forward if you like. Allow gravity to pull you down to the floor, opening the outside of this right shoulder, resting the right temple down. and breathing. And you may choose to also close your eyes here, spending a little more time with your thoughts. Sometimes when we're asked about our passions, we have an answer ready to go. Kind of like our conversation piece at the party or at the networking event. We know how to talk about ourselves. And then when we're asked the question, why? Why do you come alive when you talk about this subject? What is it about this that gives your life meaning, that gives your life purpose? Those questions can be a little harder to answer. But when we figure out what that why is, we ignite this passion that maybe we didn't even have before. On an inhale, walk the left hand back in towards yourself so you can press in and unwind, reach the right hand to the sky. And then on your exhale, replace the left hand with the right hand. And then inhale, sweep the left hand now to the sky. Exhale, thread the left arm under the right, coming down to rest on your left temple. And find your thread the needle stretch here for your left shoulder. Find your breath. Find your place here in this moment. And maybe with your eyes closed, you're trying to find that why for yourself. It's a question that only you can answer. It's a very personal question. Sometimes it takes a lot of time or careful consideration. Sometimes it's something we just know. Yoga invites us to look at the motivations for our actions, invites us to look at the subtlety to our hearts and our thoughts, to add that specific flavor, that specific passion that only you can add to what you do. Something that is fueled by your unique why. On an inhale, begin to press that right hand back into the mat. Sweep the left arm to the sky. And then on your exhale, place the left hand down onto the mat. And we'll place the forearms down onto the mat. They may be parallel to one another, or you can go ahead and clasp the hands together. And then step the balls of the feet back. We're finding a forearm plank here. Once we find our why, we need the confidence to act on it, to carry it out. So we're going to stimulate this confidence center here, our core, a little bit of core work. If you clasp the hands, send the palms flat, forearms parallel to one another, pressing into the mat. Step the balls of the feet together at the back of the mat so the inside edges of your feet are touching. And then on an inhale, begin to shift your weight to the outside edge of your right foot. Begin to balance on the right forearm, lifting the left arm to the sky, side plank on our forearm. And still continue to find your breath here. In and out of the nose, nice and steady. On your exhale, place the left arm into the mat, lower the hips to the ground, and with the forearm still pressing into the floor, we find a Sphinx pose. So give your core a little bit of a break. We will move to the other side, but for now, let's rest in the present moment. Pressing those forearms back down, begin to come back up to the balls of those feet, forearm plank. Finding your core, that fire in the center of your belly. And then begin to shift the weight into the outside edge of the left foot, lifting the right hand to the sky as you balance on this left forearm. Forearm side plank. Turning on these obliques. We are strong. We're courageous. We are confident in knowing ourselves. We understand ourselves. Take an inhale here. And then exhale, place the right forearm down onto the mat. And then begin to send your hips up and back, staying on the forearms. Begin to walk the feet forward, coming into dolphin pose, setting the hips to the sky. Turning on these shoulders, feeling strong and empowered, drawing the breath in full and deep. Take another inhale here. And then exhale, lower those knees to the mat. Take a child's pose. Knees together this time, with the arms running alongside the body, allowing the back to round, allowing the arms and the shoulders to rest. Inhale, rise up on out of this child's pose. Send the ankles out to one side. And we'll come to lay on our backs, finding our Shavasana, our rest after the work that we did. Noticing how the body feels different. Noticing how the mind also feels different. Perhaps now you have found your why. I invite you to call that why forward to the front of your mind and take notice of it. Hold it there. Or perhaps for you, your why is something you're still searching out. And that's okay. This question of understanding ourselves is a journey that is lifelong. I invite all of us to bring back to the front of our minds that affirmation. I understand myself. Take an inhale, breathe some life, some energy into that affirmation. And exhale, release. Allow it to dissolve. Allow yourself to dissolve. And spend several moments here in your Shavasana. Several moments of rest. And when you're finished, I invite you back to a cross-legged seat at the center of our mat with our hands together at our heart in prayer and our eyes closed. May we know that the answers we seek are always available to us. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. It's always an honor to be able to lead us in these classes together. Until next time, goodbye.